Window openings are easy to build with Spec Brik WCT. The first step in building the window opening will be to provide a bond beam below the window opening to provide structural support. We're building this demonstration wall with Spec Brik WCT. These units have special sloped top surfaces to their webs for drainage and are made with integral water repellent in the mix design. To build the bond beam, 2 courses of half-high Spec Brik units are used. The bottom course will be bond beam units, which have reduced web heights in order to accommodate the placement of horizontal steel. These units may either come pre-manufactured with reduced web heights, or they may be saw-cut so that the top portions of the webs can be removed. A layer of mesh that will support the grout is placed on the course below where the bond beam will be located. Once it is in place, the course of bond beam units can then be laid. After placement of rebar in the bond beam units, grout is then poured into the channel with the rebar, and then a second course of conventional Spec Brik WCT units is laid, and the entire assembly is then grouted. The 2 layers of Spec Brik units will serve the same purpose as would a single course of 8-inch masonry bond beam units. Below the window jambs and above the bond beam, we are going to need to provide flashing and weeps, since the bond beam will create a horizontal interruption in the vertical drainage path of the wall. At this location, we're going to place block flashing and weeps above the bond beam before the jamb is constructed. To build the jambs, half-length jamb fittings are placed on alternate courses. The jambs are then built to the designed height for the opening. Flashing and weeps are placed immediately below where the windowsill will rest. The way we're building this windowsill is to use solid masonry backing units to the interior of the opening, and then masonry sill units to the exterior. The backing units are laid first to provide support for the adhesive flashing material. To flash the sill, a stainless steel drip edge and corner flashing boots are placed first. Next, the adhesive flashing material is cut to size, the backing is removed, and then the adhesive material is adhered to the backing units and the bottom of the window opening over the drip edge and flashing boots. Following the careful placement of the adhesive flashing material, any joints or seams in the flashing material are sealed with an appropriate sealant. Finally, the sill units, which have a drip channel on their bottom side, are laid to complete the sill. As they are laid, weeps are placed along the bottom of the sill to allow any moisture that collects on the flashing to drain to the exterior. A space is left between the sill units and the backing units to provide room for insulation. This completes the construction of the sill component of the window opening. To build a lintel above the window opening, a composite masonry lintel can be built from Spec Brik units. This is a design feature that typically would be outlined in the structural engineer's notes in the plan set for the project. In this example, we are using Spec Brik units to form a composite masonry lintel using the same technique that was used to build the bond beam below the windowsill. Since the lintel will span the top of the window opening, we must first construct a form to support the lintel during construction and while it cures. The form is built by placing vertical supports in the window opening to the correct height to support a cross member. The height of the form can either be set to be level with the bottom of the masonry units as they come off the window jambs, or it can be set slightly below that so that a leveling pad of sand can be used above the form. After placing and adjusting the height of the form, the first course of bond beam units are then placed. Reinforcing steel is next placed, and then the second course of Spec Brik units are added. The assembly can then be grouted and allowed to fully cure before removal of the forms. The bottom of the lintel may be finished with surface treatments for aesthetics. Above the lintel, since it creates an interruption in the vertical drainage path via the cores in the wall, block flashing and weeps will be placed along the length of the lintel, so that will allow any moisture that collects at this point to exit to the exterior of the wall. Spec Brik units easily accommodate building window openings. The Spec Brik units are suitable for building the bond beam below the opening, the jambs of the opening, and the lintel above the opening. Using flashing and weeps at the sill location and above the lintel, along with properly sealing the window assembly at its juncture with the opening, will assure weather protection. For more information, please visit our website at concreteproductsgroup.com or send questions to info@concreteproductsgroup.com.